I've been sailing the void currents for quite some time, but I don't think I've ever seen such a collection of sour faces as when the Minotaurs boarded our ship. I, of course, was speaking of my own crew. Couldn't exactly see the faces of the Minotaurs under their helmets, but it don't take an empath to feel the arrogant contempt oozing out of every tiny gap in their ceramite. Oh, they said very little. We said less as they searched our ship, turning everything inside out, even searching the personal quarters of the crew. By the end, it looked like we'd been ransacked. Drawers emptied and tossed upon the ground. Every time they searched a room, the Space Marines would pause. I assumed they were conversing over their internal vox units, and then each time they would stomp off angrily to the next room. I guessed at what they were looking for. You see, our warranted trade granted us the liberty to trade and interact with Xenos, and even take on sanctioned Xenos as crew. On the edge of space, we can't afford to be xenocidal. If I'm to explore the farthest reaches of the galaxy, scouting out likely planets for conquest or colonization, where exactly am I to resupply? The Emperor protects, but he don't fill your belly, and he don't refuel your ship. Regardless, I wasn't so much of a fool as to be carrying any Xenos artifacts on me ship when we set out to meet dear old Asterion Moloc. The ship was clean as St. Celestine's arse, and the Bull Boys didn't seem too pleased about it. The crew kept their opinions to themselves, holding their tongues as the Space Marines did their work. Once they moved on to the next room, they calmly began setting the room back in order. Each and every man and woman aboard was searched and questioned. A lesser crew would have protested. Their discipline would have failed and given the Minotaurs the thing they were looking for: an excuse. They all knew they were in a comply or die situation. Arrest, or even flat-out execution were all possibilities when dealing with these lads. What were we going to do in the middle of the Minotaur fleet? Refuse? Run? Against one of the most well-equipped and vicious chapters in the Imperium? My lads and lasses were smarter than that. They kept their mouths shut. After what seemed like many hours, the Minotaurs finally ended their search. I, for one, waited patiently in my quarters for the arrival of their chapter master. I prepared to greet him with all the proper courtesy as I would with any man of high rank in the Imperium. I brought out the fine Amasek, though I guessed he wouldn't accept. And arrive he did. The man was a tower of ceramite and muscle. But you could say that of any Space Marine. They're all quite impressive and deadly. But Asterion was something else. The only way to describe Chapter Master Moloc was as a living embodiment of barely contained anger and hatred. Oh, he was not some wild, screaming berserker. His hatred was cold, ruthless, and brutal. When he walked in my cabin, I almost felt like there was a chill in the air and a threatening heaviness that seemed to press in on me on all sides. He did not remove his helmet. He simply regarded the Amasek, and then turned to me.
I am not here to sit and chat with you as if you were my peer. I am here to give you and your traitorous crew orders so that you might find the smallest glimmer of redemption for your sins.
That's very gracious of you.
You are very brave and very foolish to be so flippant with me.
Brave? No. I just figured that if you were going to kill me and my crew, you would have done it already. You know, Plant some forbidden Xenos tech on us, or maybe a demon blade or two. Give ya a pretext to eliminate us and seize me ship. But since you didn't, that means you might actually have orders for us. Which means you might actually need us.
I am not interested in hearing what you imagine to be your clever assessment of the situation. I am here to offer you something you do not deserve. A chance to cleanse the insidious taint of traitors from your name.
Emperor preserve me, it's just a really unfortunate situation. You know, a friend of a friend turns out to be a traitor, and it comes back to bite you in the arse. Speaking of which, how have you lot been holding up in the wake of the High Lord's failed coup against Gilliman anyway? Now, after those choice words, the silence that followed was so palpable. I could practically hear my own ears ringing with Asterion's rage. But he sat still as a statue. I didn't even see the madman's body rise and fall with each breath. He simply stared at me, and it felt like his gaze alone was tearing into my hide. Now, I couldn't tell you how long we sat there, staring at one another, myself trying to hide the fear that was threatening to creep into me heart. But the part of me that kept calm was the part that knew I had gotten to this bastard. Eventually, he broke the cursed silence, sliding a data slate towards me.
This is your mission, rogue traitor. I will brief you and then you will depart. You will complete your mission or you will die. I have no wish to discuss this any further with you. Your target, Captain Vargas, is on Jericho, a planet that is an important trade node. The system is full of rocky planetoids and asteroids, and mining guilds have been flocking there to extract valuable minerals for the Imperial war effort. But Governor Absalom is slowing the trade to a crawl by charging exorbitant prices for mining rights. We want him removed and replaced with someone more suitable, and we want it done without the planet descending into some kind of costly civil war.
Oh, subtle diplomacy. Not really your strong suit, eh?
Captain Vargas, you will complete this mission as ordered, or you'll be stripped of your warrant of trade. Then you and your crew will face extensive interrogation, followed by execution. Know that I would happily kill you if I had the liberty to do so. Fortunately for you, I have other obligations and more pressing concerns. I suggest you accept the mission without further commentary.
Oh, I do. In the Emperor's name, it will be done. There was another long silence. Or maybe it just felt like a long time before Asterion Moloc finally turned and left my cabin. And the moment his footfalls faded from earshot, I sighed and poured myself a healthy glass of Amasec. Well, looks like we've got a job to do. No man do they call me, my mother and my father, and all my comrades as well. Thank you all for listening to the third installment of Freedom in Bondage. If you enjoyed what you heard, please leave a like and a comment so that one day you might cleverly quip your way through a conversation with a Space Marine and somehow survive. If you had not yet subscribed, please do so in order to hear more stories about pirates and politics. If you'd like to support me, links to my PayPal and Patreon are down below. And if you have absolutely no idea what's going on, you can click on the Freedom and Bondage playlist, which should be appearing on screen right now. Thank you all once again for listening. No Man out.